Burrow shotgun. Burrow to throw. Here's the ball. He got him! He got him! There it is! Myles Garrett, sack number 23. The new single-season sack king, and the Browns defense off their man.
Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows.
Ah, man, that's an interesting question, but I believe it should be Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because he was never really given a fair shot coming into the season, and he has shown some progression throughout his time as a starting quarterback. It seemed to me that he gave that team some life. I believe the Deshaun Watson contract is something that's going to be an umbrella over this team.
It is what it is.
And it's not going to allow them to get better at other positions. So when you have two rookie quarterbacks under contract, you want to find a way to take advantage of that. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm probably leaning towards going into the season with Shedeur Sanders.
I mean, the right thing for them to do would be give the keys to Shedeur, allow him to have a full offseason operating as QB1 going into the training camp so he can be ready to put forth his best effort. But the Cleveland Brown thing, I believe they will hand the keys to Deshaun Watson. I think so.
The Browns and Bengals just played a game that should have meant nothing. No playoff stakes, no national spotlight, just another cold AFC North slog to close a lost season. But what happened after the final whistle turned it into something else, a message, a warning, and a shot fired at the entire league. Because Rex Ryan went on TV and said the quiet part out loud. He said the NFL owes Shedeur Sanders an apology.
I'll say it's a lot. I'll say all week, I would say I've been dealing with a lot spiritually, different battles, that I had to overcome, I just had to overcome. So that's why my body language, everything was off. That's what it was. Then we got in at halftime. We got in the locker room, and close teammates, close friends was like, "Nah, bro, get back to being you." So it was that words of encouragement. It was that shoulder to lean on that you need in them crucial moments. So then, as you see, right back after halftime, then we started getting our rhythm. We started being nice. So I think today overall, mentally, we won different battles. I think we won mentally. I think going back to the final minute drives that we had a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't successful. We was able to get that opportunity and be able to drive down the field and do what we did.
Think about that. A former head coach, a defensive mind who spent his career game planning to destroy quarterbacks, standing on national TV and saying this young quarterback was never given a fair shot. After a 20-18 comeback win over the Bengals, suddenly that statement did not sound crazy. It sounded overdue.
And he is sacked! And guess who? Myles Garrett!
The one obvious comment that I want to make is that this monster named Myles Garrett is something special.
Pressure coming, and he's sacked again by Myles Garrett!
Before we unpack all of this and what it means for the future of the Browns, do one thing. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of our breakdowns on Shedeur Sanders and the chaos in Cleveland. Cleveland came into this matchup with nothing to lose and everything to prove. The season had been ugly, wins were rare, confidence was low. But against Cincinnati, the Browns showed something that does not show up in the standings. They showed fight. They showed pride. They showed that even in a lost year, this team still has a heartbeat. The 20-18 comeback win was emotional. It was physical. It was intense. Both teams hit like it was January and not a dead December game. That is what divisional football does. There were no playoff implications on the line, but there was respect, there was rivalry, and there was a chance to send a message about where each franchise is heading.
To Deshaun Watson. I think so. I think because you made a good point, it's almost like his contract has handcuffed this organization, and he has all the leverage. Now, will he remain QB1 throughout 2026? We have to wait and see. But I believe The right thing would be, Shedeur, you went through some ebbs and flows this year. It was expected. The entire team did. Yep. But now this is your job. Be prepared to lead us. But Cleveland will do the Cleveland thing. They're going to hand the keys over.
Then came the moment that stopped everything. Myles Garrett made history. He got his record-breaking sack. The game literally paused. The stadium exploded. Teammates mobbed him. Cameras swarmed the field. It turned into a mini ceremony in the middle of a live game. And right away, the controversy started. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor was furious. You could see it on his face. He felt the celebration pause killed his team's momentum. He felt like the flow of the game was hijacked. Emotions were high on both sidelines. That alone tells you how much this game mattered, even with no postseason on the line. But when the dust settled, the conversation did not stay on Garrett. It did not stay on the sack, or the celebration, or even the final score. It shifted towards something bigger, the future of the Cleveland Browns. And that future starts and ends with the quarterback position.
I do believe that the Cleveland Browns organization, from the top, believes that Shedeur Sanders will be the Week 1 starter. There is the Deshaun Watson deal and all that, but they also know that Deshaun Watson, even though he has to be there for 2026 because of the contract, that he clearly is not the future, and that they have invested a third-round pick in Dylan Gabriel, a fifth-round pick in Shedeur Sanders, have them on their rookie deals. As you note, they didn't really get that fair shake. You know, they were splitting reps with Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, who didn't stay there even by midway point of the season. So right now,
that is where Shedeur Sanders came back into the spotlight. Not because he was the headline star of this particular game, but because his name became the center of the talk after it. While everyone else was arguing about the sack record, Rex Ryan zoomed out and asked a different question. What has this organization really done with its most important young player?
Then the other thing is, Shedeur, he's got to get over himself too. Like he's there by himself on the bench.
At the end of the game.
I've seen it in the 7th game of a World Series when you lose a game or whatever. This is a pillow fight game. Nobody cares.
He cares.
Sit back.
He cared.
Yeah. Did he care?
He cared.
Or are you trying to make it a show, make it about yourself? You got a guy over.
Rex did something very few analysts are willing to do. He called out the entire league. He said Shedeur Sanders was never given a fair shot. He said it bluntly. No hedging, no soft language. The league owes that kid an apology. And when a former head coach who has lived in locker rooms says that, it hits different. Because Rex Ryan is not just a talking head. He knows how quarterbacks are developed. He knows how pressure works. He understands what it takes to grow a young player in a league that eats mistakes alive. So when he says this situation was wrong, people listen. From the moment Shedeur arrived in Cleveland, expectations were twisted. Some fans expected instant greatness. Others wrote him off before he took a snap. There was no patience, no middle ground, no realistic growth curve, just hot takes and hard lines. Inside the building, it was even messier. The Browns' quarterback room was chaos. Practice reps were split. The depth chart felt like it changed every week. One veteran in, one veteran out. One flavor of the month, then another. And sitting on top of all of it was the massive Deshaun Watson contract. That deal did more than clog the salary cap. It controlled opportunity. It tied the coaching staff's hands. It made every decision at quarterback feel political instead of pure football. When you guarantee that kind of money, you are not just paying a player. You are buying control over how the position is handled.
By the way, there were some things that Rex said that if he actually filed it with a coherent thought, I would agree with. Is there a disconnect between Shedeur and Kevin? That's a fair question. I don't think there is. I think Kevin just has his attention elsewhere. But again, that's a fair question. But to act like the kid sitting on the sideline or that in the press conference said, hey, I really feel like this loss is on me, that it's somehow an indictment on his character, just say you don't like the kid.
Shedeur Sanders was stuck in the middle of that storm. He was told to compete, but not given stability. He was told to be ready, but not given consistent work with the starters. He was asked to grow, but not given a clear plan for how that growth would actually happen. When he did finally see the field, he did not play perfect football. No rookie does, but he showed things that matter a lot more than a box score. He showed leadership. He showed calm in chaos. He showed week-to-week growth. Teammates responded to him. You could feel the difference in the huddle. The offense had more urgency, more juice, more belief. The body language changed. Guys lined up sharper. Routes were run harder. Protection calls sounded more confident. Those things never show up on a stat sheet, but every coach in the league knows they matter. Yet the narrative around Shedeur stayed stuck on numbers. Critics threw out passer rating, completion percentage, interceptions, touchdowns. They talked like he was a finished product after a handful of appearances. They ignored what was happening around him. They ignored the protection breakdowns, the constant pressure, the free rushers in his face before he hit the top of his drop. They ignored the inconsistent play calling, the lack of rhythm, the conservative stretches followed by random deep shots with no setup. They judged the kid like he was operating behind an elite line in a stable scheme. That is why Rex Ryan's comments hit so hard, because he did what a lot of analysts refuse to do. He brought context back into the conversation. When a former coach with his resume says, "This player was treated unfairly," it forces everyone in that organization to look in the mirror. The Browns' win over the Bengals proved something else, too. This roster is not empty. There are real pieces in place. Myles Garrett is living proof, one of the best defenders of his era, a face of the franchise on that side of the ball. But even a player that great cannot carry a team by himself forever. At some point, if you are serious about winning, you need clarity, you need direction, and that always starts with one question: who is our quarterback? Not just this Sunday, not just until the next injury. Who is the guy we are building around? Shedeur Sanders represents that possible direction, not because he is a guaranteed superstar, nobody is at this stage, but because he has shown enough to deserve a real chance. Not scraps, not spot duty, a real opportunity to develop like other young quarterbacks get around the league. That means a full offseason where he is the one taking starter reps. It means throwing with the top receivers, building timing, learning protections. It means the playbook being tailored to his strengths instead of him being forced into a system built for someone else. That is how successful NFL quarterbacks are made. The Browns cannot keep duct taping this position with short-term veterans. That buys time for a year. It does not build a future. They have draft capital. They do not have unlimited cap space. They cannot just spend their way out of bad decisions. They have to finally commit to developing the talent they already have. Rex Ryan's comments also shined a light on a bigger league-wide problem. The NFL has become brutally impatient with young quarterbacks. Guys are judged after a handful of starts, sometimes after a handful of drives. Teams want instant results from offenses that are broken before the ball is even snapped. Shedeur Sanders became a casualty of that culture, a league that screams for patience in theory, then pulls the plug the first time a rookie struggles behind a bad line and a shaky game plan. His story is what happens when hype and panic drowned out development. The Browns' win over the Bengals showed something else, too. This roster is not empty. There are real pieces in place. Myles Garrett is living proof, one of the best defenders of his era, a face of the franchise on that side of the ball. But even a player that great cannot carry a team by himself forever. At some point, if you are serious about winning, you need clarity, you need direction, and that always starts with one question: who is our quarterback? Not just this Sunday, not just until the next injury. Who is the guy we are building around? Shedeur Sanders represents that possible direction, not because he is a guaranteed superstar, nobody is at this stage, but because he has shown enough to deserve a real chance. Not scraps, not spot duty, a real opportunity to develop like other young quarterbacks get around the league. That means a full offseason where he is the one taking starter reps. It means throwing with the top receivers, building timing, learning protections. It means the playbook being tailed for someone else. That is how successful NFL quarterbacks are made. The Browns cannot keep duct taping this position with short-term veterans. That buys time for a year. It does not build a future. They have draft capital. They do not have unlimited cap space. They cannot just spend their way out of bad decisions. They have to finally commit to developing the talent they already have. Rex Ryan's comments also shined a light on a bigger league-wide problem. The NFL has become brutally impatient with young quarterbacks. Guys are judged after a handful of starts, sometimes after a handful of drives. Teams want instant results from offenses that are broken before the ball is even snapped. Shedeur Sanders became a casualty of that culture, a league that screams for patience in theory, then pulls the plug the first time a rookie struggles behind a bad line and a shaky game plan. His story is what happens when hype and panic drown out development. The Browns' comeback against the Bengals showed effort and resilience. It showed these players have not quit on each other, but it also showed the gap between the team's potential and its execution. The heart is there. The direction is not. Fans are tired of one-off moments. They want a path. They want wins like this to mean something for next year, not just another high point in a low season. They want to know that this kind of fight is being tied to a larger plan. Handing Shedeur Sanders the keys would send that message loud and clear. It would tell the locker room and the fan base, we are done chasing quick fixes. We are building something. We are going to grow with this guy, through the good and the bad. Coaches around the league are watching Cleveland closely because if there is a change at the top, any serious head coach is going to ask the same thing. Do I have the freedom to play the best quarterback, or am I married to a contract? Real leaders want alignment, not obligation. Forcing decisions based on money instead of performance never leads to long-term success. It might protect egos, it might protect front office pride, but it does not protect the locker room. It does not protect the future of the franchise. Rex Ryan's so-called shocking take was not about creating a hot headline. It was a challenge, a demand for reflection, because fairness matters, development matters, opportunity matters, especially at quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is not a finished product. No rookie is. Not even the ones drafted in the top 5 with perfect hype reels. What matters is the trajectory, the mentality, the response to adversity. By every measure, he has shown the right traits. Now the Browns are at a turning point. The NFL rushed to judge Shedeur Sanders, tossed him into the pile of question marks. Now that judgment is being questioned, and after what we saw against the Bengals, after the effort, the resilience, the spark, that questioning feels justified. This is not about lowering standards. It's about applying them the same way you would for any other talented young quarterback. Put him in a real position to succeed, then judge the results. One decision in Cleveland could shape the next decade. Stick with comfort, with old contracts, with the same cycle of patchwork at quarterback, or choose courage, choose development, choose to finally see what Shedeur Sanders can be with a fair shot. Rex Ryan's words dragged that decision into the spotlight. The league owes Shedeur Sanders an apology for how fast it judged him. Now it's on the Browns to decide what comes next. The Browns versus Bengals game reminded everyone that football is about belief, effort, and opportunity. And when a former head coach says this player was treated unfairly, it forces everyone in that organization to look in the mirror.